Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Storytime with Miss Pam. I'm so glad you're here this week, as I've been out a couple of weeks. But I'm glad you remembered to come back this week and listen to Storytime with Miss Pam. The first story that we have today is Brave Little Finn. It's a story written by John and Jennifer Churchman, and it's published by Little Brown and Company. Brave Little Finn. The one thing I really love about this book is that the pictures are actual photographs, so I hope you'll enjoy them too. Let's get started. It says, Sweet Pea and Friends, Brave Little Finn. One cold morning, a shy little lamb was born. We'll call you Finn, said Farmer John. He held Finn close, keeping him warm inside his green barn jacket. Finn had been born early and wasn't as strong or as big as the other lambs. He shivered against the icy wind as they made their way up the hill to the warm farmhouse. Farmer John whispered in his soft, fuzzy ear, "Be brave, little Finn. We're all here for you, always." Finn's big sister, Sweet Pea, visited him every day. There's Sweet Pea. Even when it was windy and cold, she would put on her favorite wool scarf and come up to the farmhouse to see how he was doing and tell him all the barn news. Little Finn spent his days by the warm fireplace and made friends with the dogs and the new puppy. While living inside, he had to wear a diaper. Finn thought he might look silly, but all the dogs agreed he looked quite nice. Why do you think he had to wear a diaper? Do you think it was so he wouldn't make messes in the house because he wasn't house trained? I think that's probably it. Farmer John fed little Finn from a baby bottle. Maisie Grace, the border collie puppy, taught him how to drink from it. There's the little puppies named Maisie Grace. On sunny days, he enjoyed curling up on a bed of hay in the greenhouse. And as winter turned into spring, little Finn grew stronger. One morning, he was finally ready to go outside and meet the other lambs. Finn was feeling nervous. What if no one liked him? "Be brave, little Finn," said Maisie Grace. "I'll be here with you." Atticus, Meadow, and Hazel were excited. They could not wait to meet Finn and hear all about being raised in the farmhouse. They planned to show him the drinking pond first and then all around the pasture. There's the other little lambs. First, the lambs stopped at the pond for a drink. Finn bent down for a sip of cool water, but was startled by a pair of bright green eyes looking back at him. What was that? What do you think that is? Can you see? Can you tell what that is? Yeah, that's right. That's a frog. Keeper the goose was floating nearby. "Little Finn," she honked, "don't worry. That's just Pond Frog, staying cool in the shade. He sings his beautiful songs for us each evening." Next, little Finn's new friends took him to the lilac bush. Oh, there's pretty lilac bush. See the purple flowers? Hazel and Meadow loved the lilacs and munched, but Finn was unsure. He had never eaten anything purple before. What if they tasted bad, he worried. "They're so sweet," said Meadow, her mouth full of purple flowers and green leaves. "Please, try some, Finn. They're a special spring treat," said Hazel. He took just a little nibble, and they were delicious. The next morning, little Finn felt something wet and cold on his wool coat. It was raining. He was scared. What should he do? Where should he go? He did not like being wet. Puddle the duck was out early, splashing and flapping. "Come and play with me in the fresh rain," she quacked happily. Finn headed out to play with her. He was surprised. Splashing in the rain was really fun. When summer came, the whirring and buzzing sounds in the air worried little Finn. He carefully stepped through the garden flowers. The butterflies were beautiful, but the hummingbird had such a long and pointy beak, and he had heard that bees could sting. He saw his friend Atticus, who had stopped to nibble a rose. "No need to be worried about the things that fly and buzz, little Finn," said Atticus. "They pollinate the plants, which helps Farmer John grow flowers, fruits, and vegetables." Finn looked up and smiled. There he is. He sees a bee that helps pollinate. And that just means so that the fruits and vegetables and flowers can grow. "Come see the big round bale of hay," the lambs said excitedly. "In the fall, we'll play lamb on the mountain to see who can climb to the top." All the lambs loved watching Maisie Grace jump from one bale to the next. "Oh my," worried little Finn. "I could never climb that high." But fall was still weeks away. He hoped he would be brave enough by then. One morning, little Finn looked out the barn door and noticed something new, a hat. The hat had not been there the night before. He quickly turned around and went back inside the barn and would not come out. Sweet Pea loved hats of all kinds. Wearing her favorite bonnet, she gently urged little Finn to come out. Finn cautiously tried on the straw hat. "This isn't so bad," he thought, and he felt quite grown up. I didn't know that lambs wore straw hats, did you? Early the next day, while taking a morning walk with Laddie the sheepdog, there, can you see that? Finn noticed a large web, and then he saw a spider. "Spiders are so scary," Finn whispered to Laddie. See that beautiful spider's web glistening? "There's no need to fear Miss Spider," said Laddie. "She's an artist weaving her web. Look how pretty it is." Little Finn studied the intricate web sparkling with morning dew, and he was not so afraid anymore. Finn peered into the darkness of the old barn and saw something else strange. Was that a monster hiding in there? He ran as fast as he could and bumped right into Sadie the pony. Sadie gave a soft neigh. "Oh, little Finn, that's just old Ford the tractor. He's resting in the barn after a long summer of farm work. He pulls the wagon that holds all of our hay for winter." Well, Finn loved eating hay still. He stayed away from old Ford. One cool fall night, little Finn could not sleep. Soon it would be time to climb the big round bale of hay, and he didn't feel ready. Even the sky looked scary. As the full moon rose high, Finn saw it get covered by a dark shadow. His knees started to quiver. "Why is the moon getting dark?" he whispered to Grandfather Snow, the wise old ram. "That, my young Finn, is a lunar eclipse," said Grandfather Snow. "You are a lucky lamb to be awake for this rare and wonderful sight." "I don't feel lucky," said Finn. "I'm afraid of everything." But what happens when you get scared?" "My friends are there to help me," said Finn. Grandfather Snow smiled and drifted to sleep. Tomorrow was a big day. Finn was still nervous, but knew he would love to try his best. He thought about all his friends, especially Maisie, Grace, and Atticus, and how they would all be cheering him on. When morning arrived, everyone was very excited. Maisie, Grace, Laddie, Siri, and Quinn had come to watch. Hazel cried. Everyone gets a turn. All the lambs tried and tried, but no one could make it to the top. Little Finn tried too. You can do it, Finn, called his friends. He took a deep breath and ran and leaped and dug his hooves in, and he made it all the way to the top of the big round bale of hay. You are the brave and mighty little Finn. All his friends cheered. There he is on top of the big hay bale. That night, as he enjoyed his bedtime snack and lay down to sleep in the barn with his friends all around, little Finn remembered the promise Farmer John had whispered in his ear. Be brave, little Finn. We're all here for you, always. He felt very brave and loved because he knew it was true. His friends would be there for him, and he would be there for them too. And that was the story of brave little Finn. What a sweet little lamb. And I hope you enjoyed all those beautiful pictures too of brave little Finn, Sweet Pea and Friends. I love that one too. The next book I'm going to share with you is called The Winter Train. It's written by Susanna Eisern, and it's illustrated by Esther Garcia. And it's published by Suento de Luz, The Winter Train. Dawn was breaking in the northern forest. As the leaves fell from the trees, the animals woke up and started to pack their bags. Help, I can't find my toothbrush, said Wildcat worriedly. I need another suitcase. Can anyone lend me one, said Deer, who was quite vain. Oh, don't forget to turn off the light, Rabbit. Last year it was on for more than 6 months, said Badger. Once their bags were packed, it was time to say goodbye. Don't worry about me, said White Owl. Someone's got to stay behind and look after the forest. Anyway, I love the cold. Winter goes by really fast. We'll be fine, said Frog to Fish. To the fish who were swimming sadly in the river. I'll miss you, Den, said Fox, waving goodbye to his home. At midday, they all met at the foot of the oldest tree. That was where the train stopped. Every time we leave the northern forest, as it did every year at this time, it would take the animals from the northern forest to the southern forest where they could spend the cold months in a warmer climate. Once they were aboard the train, the animals found their seats. I prefer to be by the window. Otherwise, I get all queasy, said Groundhog. I can trust you, can't I, said Goat as he sat down next to Wolf. I'll be more comfortable in the coat closet, said Bat, who preferred dark places. And so the winter train chugged toward the south. Although the journey would take a few hours, the animals were all in high spirits, chatting, singing, and playing cards. Suddenly, Janet jumped out of her seat. Oh no, she cried, we've forgotten Squirrel. We've got to go back and get her. But if we go back, we could get trapped in the snow, said Beaver, pointing to the dark clouds outside the window. "We can't leave Squirrel behind. She can't stand the cold," said Ferret. "Well, that's settled then. Let's go and find her," said all of the animals together. The conductor brought the train to a halt and turned back. It got colder and colder, and the first snowflakes began to fall. When they got back to the northern forest, the landscape was covered in a blanket of white. Janet jumped off the train and bounced through the snow toward Squirrel's house. Squirrel's tree stood in a lonely spot. Janet climbed up the trunk until she reached Squirrel's den. In one corner, her friend was huddled up in a ball. She was shivering so much that Janet could hear her teeth rattling together. "Squirrel, come on, the train's waiting for us," said Janet, waking her with a start. "You came back to rescue me," said Squirrel, shuddering from the cold. "Last night I was counting stars until late, and when I woke up, the train had already left." Janet and Squirrel ran back to the train. On seeing that Squirrel was safe, all of the animals jumped up and down with joy and smothered her with hugs and kisses. The conductor started up the engine once again, but it had snowed so much that the train tracks were completely covered. They were trapped! The sun was setting behind the mountains. It was getting colder and colder, and the animals began to lose hope. After thinking for a while, Bear had a good idea. "Let's try to clear the snow off the tracks. We can do it if we work together." And so the animals jumped down from the train and began to clear away the snow. Bear shoveled great clumps with his huge claws, while the smallest animals cleaned off the rest with their paws and wings. Soon there was no snow left on the tracks, on the rails. The heat of the motors had melted the snow closest to the train. Some of the animals also helped by pushing the train from the back. Then suddenly, choo-choo, choo-choo, the train started to move. Choo-choo, choo-choo. The animals quickly jumped back onto the train and returned to the seats. They'd done it. Night fell over the northern forest as the snow covered the trees. Squirrel was still curled up, trying to get warm under Eagle's huge wings. The animals smiled, satisfied. Some of them were holding paws, while others were fast asleep, snoring quietly. Meanwhile, the winter train chugged through the dark, dark night, through the freezing air, toward the promise of the southern forest. So that's kind of an imaginative story, isn't it? About how the animals go south where it's warmer during the winter. And in somebody's imagination, it was them taking a train to do that. Well, I hope you enjoyed our story time today. And I won't be back next week. I won't be able to do the story time next Monday, but I'll be back the Monday after that. And don't forget that you can always come to the Upper Chichester Library to check out books where we still have curbside service. And story time is supposed to be at 10:30, and I kind of got ahead of things and did it at 10 o'clock today. But you can still watch the video as soon as it's posted. So, thank you all. Have a good week. And maybe we'll get a little bit of snow this week as the weather predicts that we might. And I hope you enjoyed the winter story today. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.